Welcome back to another edition of the Night Report podcast. I'm your host, Mike Broadbent. Joining me once again are my co-hosts, Richie and Alec. Another commitment for the Scarlet Knights. Cannon Marshall, another elite defensive back name, committed to the Scarlet Knights this past weekend. We'll talk about his recruitment and why it's taken a weird path to him now enrolling early as a member of the 2025 class. We had a couple guys who visited elsewhere who now changed where they're headed, who were Scarlet Knight commitments. And Richie was at the Rutgers 7-on-7 this past weekend to talk about what he saw there and players who stood out. But first, let's talk about this player, Cannon Marshall, 6'2", 180-pound corner who's got legit track speed. Was going to be a class of 2026 post-grad kid. But Rich, talk about what happened and how he ended up being a member of the 2025 class who's going to be on campus shortly.
Yeah, he's kind of someone Rutgers has been a little bit familiar with for a couple months now. He came to the spring game for a visit to campus with his high school team. He actually, right before that is when he technically reclassified to 2026. He's a Roseville, North Carolina native. Reclassified, went into Fort Union Military Academy, a place that Rutgers has been pretty familiar with over the years, especially under Greg Schiano, because they landed, who the hell was it? I was just looking at it. They landed Kenneth Kirksey, who you remember, the super athletic defensive tackle, Keith Stroud, who's now at Erasmus Hall, and TJ Johnson. So they're pretty familiar with the school in general. They reached out to him. They got him on campus. He's a 6'2", 185, legit, like tall, lengthy cornerback prospect. And it's just such a weird recruitment because like Rutgers was his only offer. They got him back to campus on the 18th. He worked out in front of the staff. They offered him immediately, and they were like, oh, let's try to get this kid done and like seal the deal. It's kind of like Latrell Noel, the same thing. And got him on campus again this weekend for an official visit, which was only like a day-long thing, but it's an all-expenses-paid trip visit, so you kind of don't really have to do anything on your front. Rutgers sealed the deal there. He went to North Carolina the week before, a couple days before, worked out there. Apparently they liked him a lot. They weren't ready to offer yet, but they were getting close to. And I think there's a lot of behind the scenes things with this one. He was a basketball player growing up for his entire life, basically. Right ahead of his junior year, 2 years ago, he started playing football. You watch his tape, he's like extremely fast. He runs a 10.6 100-meter. He's been clocked with a 4.4 40-yard dash. So like all the intangibles are there. Even on tape, he looks pretty good. And I'm trying to figure this out. Like, what the hell is going on? Like, why does this kid not have a single offer? And credit to, I think it was Fayetteville State offered him before Rutgers did. And I'm like, I don't know how you guys found him, but sure. Apparently there was some transcript issues with schools receiving the wrong transcript. There were some schools that were saying the transcript that they were getting was having it like in the 2 range. And like, obviously a 2 is not very good academically. But his actual transcript is a 4.1. So there was just some kind of giant mix-up, and schools just weren't getting the correct transcripts, and Rutgers ended up finding out the legit transcript, got it from the high school, requested it, and all that other good stuff, and just sealed the deal there. So credit to them for doing the due diligence, and credit them for, once again, having ties to North Carolina, because this is now their technically 3rd North Carolina prospect in the 25 class, joining Stephen Murray and Isaiah Deloach, but they're building some really deep ties down there, and it's just you saw it recently too, because they had a 4-star 27 quarterback come up from North Carolina to the camp. They have more North Carolina kids in this upcoming class. Like, it's just a state that is like I shouldn't say untapped talent, but it's a state that produces a ton of talent that Rutgers has never touched before, and now they're able to get in there and land kids like this that are just so under the radar, no one even knows about them. You're on mute.
Alec, what were some things that stood out to you watching Cannon Marshall's tape?
Yes. First off, Richie, I think you forgot a pretty big name talking about Fort Union, also Holland Pierce.
Oh, duh. Yeah.
That's where he came from.
That one's pretty important.
Yeah, pretty big one too. But yeah, definitely a lot to like athletically. I thought it was pretty interesting. He's one of those kids that kind of falls through the cracks. I definitely like what I'm seeing athletically. His technique could also use some work, which is, kind of going to be obvious when he's just been playing football for about a year or two. But that's one of those things that the coaching staff could work with and all that stuff. So, definitely it's an interesting one, especially considering he's reclassifying back to 2025, where I'm assuming he'll get a year to probably won't play all that much, probably redshirt, if I had to guess, get him technically sound and all that. But the athletic floor, once again, we talk about this with particularly the defensive recruits a lot. The athletic floor is there. So it's all about seeing what you can do with the technique and all that. He's got some pretty solid footwork to build off of. It is a really interesting one. I'm curious to see how this one goes.
He seems to play the sideline pretty well, being able to push guys out as they're trying to get past him. Rich, is he somebody who worked out for the Rutgers coaching staff this summer, or is this purely a tape eval?
Yeah, it was a private workout. Now they have these camps throughout the summer, and you could sign up and go to them. And there's some solid kids that show up to those. And I've been doing I've been to everyone so far. But this was more of like they invited him down for like a Wednesday private workout with just some of the top level prospects around the country. Like even at the 7-on-7 on Saturday. Even on a Saturday, like I went to the football stadium originally because they're usually just scattered throughout. And I'm looking and I'm like, oh, there's like 7 kids down there doing a big man workout with Pat Flaherty. Let's just watch and see what's going on here real quick. But no, they just do some private workouts. They worked him out that June 18th, and then that was it. Offered him immediately, or give him the tour after, and then offered him immediately. But you watch his tape, like even though the technique's not there, the closing speed's there, which I mean, obvious 10.600 meter. And there's I think it was the very first clip that really stood out to me. He's just going stride for stride with one of the opposing receivers and just was able to knock the ball down. Like Alex said, the technique's an issue. There's a lot of times where he's turning his body when he really shouldn't be. I guess that's also kind of a Greg Schiano thing, is just play the hands or play the eyes. Don't play the QB or the ball or whatever. So, I mean, there's a lot to work on, but the speed's there, athleticism's there, basketball player, track star, all the intangibles are there. You just have to actually teach him the game a little bit more. He's so new to it too. Like he's been playing for legitimately 2 years of football. Like it's kind of insane.
Yeah, and one thing I really like about his tape is when you're a football player for the first time, and you're primarily playing basketball, like you might not necessarily be a fan of the physicality of the game, and that does not appear to be a problem for him. He gets up and is very physical with receivers. He's the several tackles that he's made that were just like really high level, high intensity kind of sweep the leg. One of his tackles looked like the Cooper DeJean tackle on Derrick Henry from this past year. So I don't know. This is just a very raw player who the staff sees a lot of potential in. So I can't wait to see what he looks like after 12 months in the Rutgers football program.
You see it on that.
Somebody.
Sorry.
No, it's definitely not someone I would expect to play in 2025.
You see it on that last clip, like the speed on kickoff coverage. It's like as long as he can take the right angles, like he's going to get on the field very early. Like it's unmatched. And you said the what do you call it? Contact. I know basketball is not the most contact sport in the world, like compared to football, obviously, but like he's actually a pretty solid basketball player. He doesn't do a lot of like scoring, but he's like a good rebounder and he's got a couple blocks per game. Like does the aggressive stuff that you want to see, and then there kind of translates to the football field a little bit.
Yeah, it's going to be, because even on some of his highlights where we mentioned the technique isn't totally there, he still has the closing speed to make up that ground and make a play on the ball, which is definitely good to see. So imagine what that closing speed is going to look like when he does have some of the better technique, when he gets kind of built up in the system as well.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else on this kid before we talk about some of the unfortunate decommits that Rutgers saw this past weekend?
I guess the only other thing is like people are going to look at this 26 class and be like, oh, there's only one cornerback prospect and it's Brandon Blair Murray. But in reality, it's not just one cornerback prospect. There's a couple. Like they're just both reclassed. Like Latrell Noel reclassed. Like this kid reclassed. Like so, I guess they're technically going to count these kids towards that 26 class if you're looking at Rutgers scholarship point of view. But if you're going to go rankings point of view, it goes towards the 2025 class. So don't freak out when it's signing day and there's like one cornerback.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a skewed class because of the reclassifications for sure. So let's talk about some of the decommits. First with Justin J.J. Edwards, the linebacker out of Florida. He ended up switching his commitment to Miami after a visit. Shouldn't surprise anyone. We covered that on the last pod. But Rich, do you have any details as to how that ended up playing itself out?
This kid loved Rutgers, loved everything about Rutgers, loved everything about the visit. Family loved it too. And he was all Rutgers all the way. He canceled the Miami visit. I can't stress this enough because everyone's like, like he was going to Miami, then he wasn't going to Miami, then he was going to Miami, then he wasn't going. And this guy says he's not going, and that guy says he's not going. And it's like he was not going. There's some people in the background here that really pushed for him to go to Miami and at least visit. Those people also pushed him to commit to Miami and pushed it over the edge, basically. Just said, hey, go to Miami, check it out. And then Miami obviously seals the deal with the best way to seal the deal in today's day and age of recruiting. And I think we all know what that means.
Made a strong-ass offer.
Yeah, offer.
Yeah.
Offer can be used very loosely in today's day and age of high school recruiting, but even college recruiting, because you can just tamper now, apparently. There's a reason Miami's getting sued by Wisconsin right now. So just put it like that. So yeah, it is what it is. He ends up going to Miami. We told you it was probably going to happen about a week or two ago. Yeah, something like that. I think it was. But either way, it does suck because he was probably the best linebacker. He was the best linebacker committed to Rutgers this cycle. But they'll just look elsewhere. I don't have any specific names yet, but what are you going to do?
And I don't know if it's official yet, but Rihyeal Kelley visited Alabama, and things are trending towards the Crimson Tide. Has he already flipped? What's the deal there?
I guess it depends when you listen to this, technically.
Sure.
It is like almost a damn near lock. He's going to flip to Alabama. Rutgers pushed very heavily. I know when they first offered, I even posted on the boards. There were some people within the facilities that were pretty confident he would end up staying. They were pretty confident. Alabama had other guys ahead of him on the board, and they even hosted another safety this weekend. So it sounded like that could be the guy. But Rihyeal Kelley, we've said it when his commitment pod, go back and listen to it. Like, we hyped up his tape, and it was phenomenal. How he was a 5.53 star, I don't know. How he was unranked by all these people, I think they saw Toledo commit some people that do the rankings and said, screw it, I don't need to rank that kid. I'll rank him later on. And shout out to whoever's at Toledo. Like, I don't know what the hell you're doing, but like, you have an eye for talent, my friend. Michael Dukes, Rihyeal Kelley, and I'm sure there will probably a later on couple flips from Toledo to Power 4 schools before signing day. So clap for that guy. That guy, whoever's their director of recruiting or whoever it is, you're good. You're not going to be there very long. But yeah, it sounds like he's probably going to flip to Alabama. He's got a couple of high school teammates there. If Alabama pushes at the end of the day, it's probably a lock. Could be said for a lot of different schools, and it's not just a Rutgers issue, and it's not like just because Rutgers lost Justin Edwards to Miami, you lose Rihyeal Kelley to Alabama. These aren't bad losses too. You got to think back to where Rutgers was fighting the Miami Ohios and the Buffaloes and the Akrons, maybe not Akron, but East Carolinas of the world. And now they were fighting the Syracuses and Boston College. Now you're fighting the upper echelon of college football. This is just how recruiting works. When you recruit these big name kids, and even when they're not big name kids, when they're smaller name kids, when schools like that are offering your kids, it tells you that you also have an eye for talent because you found him technically before everyone else too. So, I mean, you can't be too mad about losing to Alabama. I think 90% of kids in high school recruiting would probably choose Alabama over Rutgers right now. Is it the same Alabama when they had Saban? No. But it still has so much juice growing up. Like, we grew up watching how many Alabama championships? It's insane. So it sucks. It's probably going to happen sooner than later, or it might have already happened depending on when you're listening to this. But they still have a couple safeties committed. You still have Chris Hewitt, who's actually the highest ranked safety on their board. So, or not even on their board, on all the ranking sites. So Sebastian Cruz, maybe they go revisit Messiah Tilson and see if he's just wants to flip from Kentucky, or maybe you just go back to Jet Goldsberry, who's supposed to commit on July 5th. So there's options out there. And as much as Rihyeal Kelley was good and a very good prospect, replaceable, I would say. So what are you going to do?
Yeah, never fun to lose a commitment, especially one that's on the rise, I'll say. But bit of a bummer. Now, I know we referenced at some point that maybe they'll target a linebacker in the portal. Do you think that they might end up going after a guy in the portal at linebacker for the 25 season?
I think the roster definitely isn't done yet. Now, you might be thinking, hey, Cannon Marshall just committed. No shit. Like, yeah, technically he's going to join the roster. But I still think they'll look around. They'll see what's out there, see what's available. And I still feel like you're missing like one piece, if not more. But I mean, they fixed offensive line. Like, you never really know. Like, I expected them to add at least one offensive lineman. I didn't expect them to go out and add 4. It was like, okay,
Sure.
Where the hell did that come from? But they saw something in spring and said, hey, we have to fix it. And it's on top of that, the injuries last year also played a major factor. So I just can't see them going into this season with the roster the way it is. I still think there's 1 to 2 more pieces that could be added.
Good to know.
I do have an answer for something that we asked earlier.
Sure.
So Toledo's director of recruiting is AJ Harrison, who just started this year. So he's doing a pretty solid job. He was previously a recruiting assistant. Before him, the recruiting coordinator / director of personnel is Brian Gasser, who's now the GM. So pretty solid internal operation they got there.
Not for long.
Wow. Yeah. Someone starts noticing.
I tell you right here, they're in New Jersey noticing.
Yeah, Harrison actually played tight end for Toledo in 2019 to 2021. So he's a young guy. He could be a pretty quick riser.
Yeah, and we know Rutgers loves their MAC personnel and coaches. I mean, Colin Farrell, Julian Campenny, just goes on and on.
Yeah, I mean, they have an opening with I don't know if we mentioned this on the podcast, but with Ramon Ruiz headed to the Ravens, now they have an opening.
That's true. That is true. I don't know if they'll go straight from. I guess they could go director recruiting. Rutgers is interesting with the recruiting department. They like to hire within and promote within, and then go out and find lower level guys. So we'll see.
Last news item on this episode, we're going to have an NBA draft preview coming later today. But, Rich, you were at the Rutgers annual 7-on-7 this past weekend. Tell us a little bit about some of the players who stood out, how the event went, things you were hearing from around Rutgers. Just hit us with the mailbag here.
Start from the beginning. Don Bosco has a squad that reminds me of Don Bosco of, what was that, 2010? No, 2009, 2008-ish. I forget. The Leonte Carew, Uri Wright, Hamilton, and who's the fourth guy? There was a fourth guy that went to Colorado. No, that was Uri Wright. Shoemate. Wasn't it Shoemate? Elijah Shoemate?
Yeah. Elijah Shoemate went to
Notre Dame.
Okay. He's a linebacker. Uri Wright played corner at Colorado.
That's what it was.
And
then Carew, obviously, and Darius Hamilton.
Yep.
So it kind of reminds me of that squad in a little bit different manner because they're all kind of scattered throughout different classes. They have a kid, Rona, the quarterback, who looked really good. I think it's Dylan Rona. I thought he looked solid. I thought Carson Shane looked pretty solid. Now, they're both a little smaller in stature, but I think they both have a lot of talent at quarterback. Phoenix Evans, DB, phenomenal. And then the star of the show for their program is Isaiah Alvarez. He is a freaky wide receiver, man. He was just torching guys left and right. He was able to break away from DBs. He was scoring game-winning touchdowns. I pulled up, and within the first 10 seconds, it's like, oh, Don Bosco's right in front of me. Great. I'm like, oh, there goes that ball. 40 yards down. Oh, no. Well, he caught it. A contesting catch and everything for the touchdown. I was like, yep, that was it's pretty much the game right there. So they are very talented. I think there's a program called Loyal Elite. And mind you, it's just turning into AAU ball at this point. It's just the best in Delaware. Instead of putting together high school teams down there, they just figured to get the best in Delaware together. And it's comprised of a couple Syracuse commits, a Penn State commit, and they're all very talented. And I think the state of Delaware is getting a lot better in terms of talent. It used to be like they would just get plucked immediately from the St. Joe's Preps of the world, from the St. Francis Academies of the world. Hell, even in Delaware, some of those schools were plucking like the top talent and keeping it at like, I'm trying to think what it was it Salesanium? And then that's where Robbie Johnson was from too. So Rutgers is very well known with the talent down there, but I think it's someone to keep an eye on going forward. Chris Hewitt Jr., Calvert Hall, Elias Koch was there. I actually was really intrigued to watch him. I thought he made some really nice contested catches. He really showed off his hands, was keeping the ball away from his body mostly. their quarterback play needs a little bit of work, but I think that he has a lot of talent. I think that he should be moving up in the rankings between the OT 7-on-7 cycle back in the spring that he dominated, and then just dominating the camp circuits. He's very solidly committed. You see Mom on the sidelines decked out in Rutgers gear cheering him on. So anyone that was nervous about that one, because we know like other schools have reached out to him, he's solidly committed. YD Collier was on campus, didn't participate in anything, but that was the second time in 2 weeks I saw YD Collier on campus, just showing up for the camps just to show support and driving around a golf cart. How he was able to pull that one off, I don't know, but good for him, because I don't see many recruits driving around the Rutgers golf carts. But yeah, no, he looks like he got a little bit bigger too. He looks like he's a little bit thicker, and that's kind of what you need. He's 209, 208, so you need to pack on a ton of weight to him, but he's getting there slowly but surely. Tavian Branch, second time in 2 weeks as well. He was there playing like a hybrid wide receiver tight end role for a 7-on-7 team. To watch a defensive tackle run out there and like run routes is just like, what are we doing here? This is crazy. But and he's got the alignment cleats on too, the ones that go like halfway up your calf, and it's like, dude, you just don't get hurt, please. But he's pretty mobile, so it's fun to watch. He's all Rutgers all the way. His high school team has a Block R logo too, so it's kind of cool to see all that for a Pennsylvania team. But he's by far and away like the biggest kid on that team, like massive. They actually have a 27 receiver. That's a basketball recruit that transferred over to football that might have a chance. What else? What else am I missing? There was a bunch of different people there. Isaiah Alvarez, I said. Derek Zammit was probably the best quarterback of the day. I don't know if we should talk about him or not, but Rutgers kind of some stuff happened in the background that doesn't, and that is the reason why he's at Washington and not Rutgers. But he looked really good, throws a really nice ball. He's very cocky too. And you could see like when he has the ball back there on these 7-on-7s, he is itching to run. He just wants to take off. And I get it. Like it's tough, especially when you are such a runner in high school. But minus the lack of height, I think the kid has 4-star talent. I think you probably try to kick the tires still going forward. I know they have their quarterback in Stern, but it can't hurt to have another. What else? Oh, Harrisburg ended up winning with Elias Koch and his high school team. I think that's pretty much it. There was just a ton of different schools there. Cardinal Hayes, New York. Donovan Catholic was there. I think that's pretty much it. It was a long day, a hot day, a good day. I'll have a little bit of a notebook coming out in the next 6 hours or so, depending when you're listening to this. So stay tuned for that. Don't hold me to that. It might be tomorrow.
Soon. It's coming soon.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, that is kind of all the football stuff we have for you guys today. We will have an NBA draft preview out shortly as well, where we discuss the latest news on where Rutgers guys we think are going to end up, talk some betting odds, and have you covered heading into Wednesday night's day one of the NBA draft. But for me, Richie and Alec, this has been another edition of the Night Report podcast, signing off.